Why is authoritarianism so seductive in this environment today?
Authoritarianism and the drive towards authoritarianism have, for the last 100 years, resulted from people who feel some kind of disappointment with democracy. Sometimes it's a personal disappointment, people who feel their political systems haven't delivered to them something that they want. And the book I published recently, I talk about people at the very high end of a number of societies, and journalists and political analysts and philosophers who felt that their systems weren't delivering something for them. But often it comes from a disappointment that's broader. My society isn't what I thought it would be. It's changed in directions that I don't like. I don't see myself represented in it. Of course, there are also, in every country, there are specific economic or political circumstances that drive people away from democracy or turn them against the system. But because this is now a pattern we can see across so many countries around the world, I think we can also make some broader generalizations about it. I mean, look, we live in a time when things are changing very, very fast. The economic situation is changing. There's sociological change. The role of women is changing. The role of marriage is changing. Families are changing. Demographics are changing. And for some people, that means that something has been left behind or lost. And very often, those are the people who are becoming disillusioned with their political systems.
You mentioned that a lot of things are changing. And the one that is kind of noteworthy you didn't mention is the role of government. I mean, is that part of the problem? That so many things affecting people's lives are so different, and yet government doesn't seem to be able to respond adequately to the pace of change?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the greatest changes is the change in the nature of information, the kind of interactions that we're used to having, the way in which we can now respond quickly to so many things. And in a world when, you can express your like or dislike for something by clicking a button online, or you can order a pair of shoes and they'll arrive tomorrow or maybe even this afternoon. The idea that, it takes months for the government to decide anything, that it takes weeks to form a government coalition, that issue after issue, and this is particularly a problem in the United States, is blocked in Congress because of procedural rules, because of the filibuster, because of the 50-50 split, that creates a huge amount of frustration in the sense that we're not going anywhere. Everything else happens so rapidly. Democracy requires all these compromises and changes, and it's very slow. And so, yes, the failure in many systems, sometimes it's about constitutional change. More often it's about change in the way, in the way government operates and in its effectiveness, and also in the way that government uses new technology. Very few governments have used the possibilities of online debate or consensus building software or other alternatives to social media to find ways to get their citizens to talk. And that means that the nature of conversation online and the nature of public debate are somehow out of joint. And I think that's a problem for most democracies.